Greetings, everyone. Good afternoon. Hope everybody is staying safe and healthy in their respective domiciles and such. It is Tuesday, for if you are wondering, and Tuesday means Tai Chi. So, today we will do a little Tai Chi. We will start off with the warm-up from last time. We'll keep that fairly steady. We might do something new in a couple of times just to keep things interesting. Otherwise, you can go back to any of these lessons and see what we did before, so you can be up to date. And then we'll go through another little component of the Tai Chi form. All right, so, and then at the end, if you have questions, just go ahead and ask them in the live chat, and at the end, go back through them and see if there's anything I need to answer. Okay, so let's. Okay, so we're going to get out and into our Uchi position, which is shoulder width apart. Feet going straight forward. We're going to get real tall, so feeling like we did when we were kids, trying to get tall against the door. We're going to rotate open our thighs, let our knees bend, come down just a little bit, come back up. Using that range, we're just going to relax our body and bounce. And traditionally, there are a set number of these that you do. I'm more for just doing for about 30 seconds to a minute. Slow your breath down and hear it kind of stop. I'll demonstrate by making it a little loud here. So, but it should be pretty effortless. Okay, what that does is that kind of just stacks us in the vertical, gets our joints used to incurring a little bit of force so that they can make some micro adjustments as we go on before we start going into the actual exercises. Okay, so next, forward arm circles. Bringing the hand up to the hip, going straight up to the shoulder, bringing it into the shoulder as the left one comes up from the hip. 2 circles on either side of your body. Good. And come to a stop. Come out from the shoulder into the hip, reversing those circles. And come to a stop. Okay. Shift all of your weight onto your left leg. Take a small step out to the left diagonal. You're going to be about shoulder width and a half. Try to keep your feet parallel. Your right hand comes up to the face. Sit over to the right foot. Turn your body. And as if you're throwing something away, bring your hand down. Bring your left hand up to the face. Reverse the motion. To the other side. And make it one smooth action. Just breathe easy and natural. And come to a step over the left leg. Bring the right leg all the way in. Hands come in front of the chest. Sit back as far as you can. Look at a point in front of you. Come up onto the toes. Push the hips forward. Bring the hip band back. swim out. And reverse the motion. And bring the hands down. Alright, so this will take some tricky footwork if you're in a small space, like I am, but otherwise, just take regular steps forward. We're going to start in Taiji. Shift all of your weight over to the right foot, turn it out, bring the foot in. Step out to the right or to the left diagonal. Hands come to chest level. Reach forward, shift forward, sit back, pull. And the fifth, bring your foot back, step in, step out, and again, now going clockwise. And bring your foot back, step in. Now continue clockwise. Stepping back out to the other position. Bring your foot back, step in, back out, and back to clockwise. Foot back, bring it forward, step up, back up to the beginning position. Right side of your body, fingertips together, thumbs overlap to the first joint. Leading with the fingertips, stretch out. Put the hands over, come down to the shoulder, into the waist, into the hip. Knee, the other knee, do not bend them. To the hip, waist, opposite shoulder, center. The other side. Up, shoulder, waist, hip, knee, hip, waist, shoulder, center, and up. Good. Again, each side, up, shoulder, waist, hip, knee, hip, waist, shoulder, center, up. And up, shoulder, waist, hip, knee, hip, waist, shoulder, center. Okay, one more time, each side. Up, shoulder, waist, knee, hip, waist, shoulder, center. All right. So there's the warm-up. Longevity. Let's see some notes about that. when you are doing this one here, this one, we're going to be accentuating our lifting hinge, which means our knees are going to stay pretty much right where they are. So as I go back, my knees stay right here. Okay? And then when I come up, they move forward. And I come up onto the balls of my feet. Again, kind of relating to the five bows. Okay. So now we'll get into the Taiji. We'll start with the basic hand motions, and then we'll do push the burst tail as we did before, and then we'll add full next piece. So, okay, so we'll start off in our Mabu. Okay. So about shoulder width and a half apart. Feet going straight forward. In a nice, comfortable yet somewhat challenging stance, just like this. We'll start with one hand. So take your left hand, place it on your hip, behind your back, someplace where it's not getting away. Take your right hand, bring it up here, your center. And we're going to go away from the center here first, and then we're going to scoop down here to the other side. Just like this. Try to maintain a constant depth with your stance, so don't rise up and fall down like that. Go straight across. Now, there is an illusion that happens here. It appears that my arm is moving away from my center arm, but in reality it is not. If I take out all of my movement that I'm doing with my torso, my waist, and such, right, I get this. Okay. You see, as I come over to here, I'm coming here. There. See? Boom. Just up and down. Everything else is coming from my body. Okay. Now, switch arms. It feels more difficult on this side. That's more bad. It feels more difficult on the other side. Also, one side is always going to feel better than the other. Keep your eye on your hand for this way. There are hidden techniques all over through this motion, but we don't want to confuse the issue, so we're just going to concentrate on drawing a nice, clean circle. So, getting our body to work together to accomplish one thing. Okay. Now, we're going to come up to here, and as we go this way, our hands are going to switch. And now we're going to do it on both sides of our body with both hands at the same time. This is just each of those movements done in alternating fashion at the same time. Good. Okay. All right. Go ahead, stand up, shake it out if you need to. Always do things to your own ability. When I say do it to your own ability, you basically first you have to try to find out what your limit is. Where do you stop? Now, oftentimes without help, without a professional personal trainer, somebody like that, those limits are sometimes difficult to identify because we will often try to keep ourselves safe by a large margin. So we won't necessarily put out what we can put out until we're confident that we can handle it. Right? This all happens in our central nervous system. One of the things that Taiji and Qigong does is it preps your body for movement, right? Specific movement and athletic movement. Right? So there are the general movement principles that are kept very, very strong. Your hip hinging, your upper and lower body. If you follow any of Gray Cook's things or anything like that, all of this will be very, very familiar. This is just kind of how things work. But just like with this, where we're trying to kind of get the viscosity out of our spine, get our joints ready to kind of go through here. These slow, gentle movements prepare the body to withstand larger forces for a shorter time. If you noticed, if you're holding the stance the whole time, your legs are getting tired. Right? You do this enough, and you can condition your body to withstand a lot of discomfort before deciding to give up. But again, that takes experience, that takes some sort of thing. Taiji is a good way to do it because it's very gentle. Right? We're going to be holding stances and we're going to be loading these things over time, which can have a benefit to the short-term explosive things because it gives it a platform from which to rebound off. You still have to practice the explosive stuff. We're not going to worry about that quite yet. All right, back into stance. We're here. Right? Now we're going to go the other way. Right? So if I hold my right hand up over here, I'm going to push it down to this side. I'm going to come across my knee. I'm going to lift it up. And this is the circle. Right? 2 concentric circles. If you study human movement, these are very familiar compound motions that are done with the arm and with the shoulder. You do them in both directions. It's a circle. And that's the neat thing about circles. Okay. Now, other hand. Feet. Now, same thing as before. I'm now going to do both of them concentrically at the same time. Notice by brushing my knee with my turn, which powers the upwards with this hand in its chop. Okay. Now, let's take a look at that. So, in general terms, we have this and we have this. Right? So, my hands can kind of do this, they can kind of do this. And those are our two kind of core movement type techniques. Okay, so the first one that we're going to talk about today is Uchi Gabu, which means brush knee, and so it's often translated as twist step, but it should probably be more accurately translated as cross step. And that's going to get into a concept which we'll get into here, which we talk about yin and yang as we do with Taiji, but also some scientific principles of how our body works and such. Okay, so we have brush the bird's tail. We start off, and I'll do it once, I'll do it twice, and once on either side, facing the camera. I'll turn around and do it not facing the camera. Follow along that way. Okay, so brush the bird's tail. We're going to sink, shift over to this foot, twisting it, step in, out to the diagonal. As you can see, grab, check, beat back, go forward, separate down, lift, draw in, flip, push. Turn for a little bit, step in, step out, grab, check, grab, forward, flip, and push. Let me see if the camera will give us a little better view of the back. Not too much better. A little bit. I still have to adjust my footing, but I'll get that. Okay, so sink, shift, step forward, grab, check, beat back. Foot back to here, but we're going to step it, step forward, grab, beat back, lift, foot. Okay, so again, you can go check those out at a later time when you have more time, or if you want a refresher on any of those things. Okay, The next one, if brush the bird's tail represents standing and holding our ground, so standing central, what do we say, zone, central equilibrium, standing still. Then the next bit we're going to go through is going forward. Okay, so it's going to be talking about forward momentum, forward steps, forward this forward energy in all senses. So, brush knee, twist foot. As I was saying, it should be translated as brush knee, cross step. Right? Abul is a position, right, which means to oppose. Okay, so an opposing step, and that's this. Right, I have one foot forward and one foot back. They're in opposition to each other. Right, but specifically with my upper body, I'm going to be using this hand right here to do most of the work. Okay, again, we're opposing that. So my front hand is corresponding with my back foot. Okay? Now that's that kind of yin and yang concept there. You have a little bit of yin and yang and vice versa, and it's constantly changing. So it's even rotating as it's moving through your body. You see that, right? So yang, but the power is kind of coming from here, but our weight is going to be centered. Okay? Now what this corresponds to is something called the cross stabilization pattern. This is in modern sports medicine, where we are strong in this cross, right? So these muscles can correctly oppose each other and create a tension that goes through the entire body into the ground. That gives us a lot of stability, gives us a lot of strength, and puts us in a good position to perform lots of athletic endeavors. Okay, so you can see that, and if it relates to boxing. Boxing, a jab is quick, not as powerful as your cross. But you can get a good twist, you can move across that plane, across that center, and produce a lot of energy that way. So that's what this is really, really all about. It's about the upper body, lower body, exchanging positions, yin and yang, right? Full and empty, weighted, non-weighted, all of that kind of thing. Acting and not acting. So, how do we do it? So, we are going to start off, we'll start off here from Wuji, just like this. Okay? So if we're here like this, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to shift over to your right foot, let it turn, and then you're going to pick up this foot. Now, there's a couple of different ways we can do this. The first way is just to pick it up. Try to lift your knee up as high as you can. Right? The other way you can do it is, after you've twisted, sink all of your weight over there. You see the weight, the foot already starts to peel off of the ground. I'm going to make a circle forward and then bring it in. Okay? So the differences between those. We're here. Sink over. Shift. Okay. One's a little fancier than the other, but not significantly different. It's not going to change anything. It is going to give you a little bit more challenge in the balance area. So if you're finding this easy, that's a good place to go. Now let's go the other way. Let's say you're having a hard time even just lifting your knee up and standing on one foot. That could be the case. So working on your one-legged balance is very, very important, because even when you're walking, you're basically moving between one-legged stances. Right? As we get older and we lose a little bit of our equilibrium, a little bit of our core strength, hip flexibility, that kind of thing. Well, the hip flexibility is usually because of the other things. But our gait starts to become smaller. So whereas before we were walking like this, right now we're walking like this, okay? Because our body cannot hold us up on one foot as much anymore. Now that can be due to a lot of things, whether it be core strength, mechanical injuries, okay? But it generally starts to happen to a lot of people, right? Most people who do not stay very, very active into their later years. It is really, in my experience, it is really tied to inactivity. This is another really good reason for doing Taiji, Qigong, any of these things, especially the gentle movement-based things, because of this very thing. Working on your one-legged stance. But not just doing that. When you get to it, you're basically taking a slow motion step. And this is a form of gait training. Right? So if you can't do this, don't worry about it. The whole point of the system of Taiji is to teach you how to do this, to allow you to obtain this particular skill. Now, if you have problems with one-legged balance, there's a couple of things that you can do to regress everything. Right? Number one, bring your foot in, stay on one foot, just touch the very tip toe of this foot to the ground, right next to the standing foot. This is a stance we call dingbu, which essentially means T-step, because ding is a character that's just across two lines. So basically, if you're taking your feet like this, you take one and you're putting it tiptoe next to the other one. Right? Like this. Okay? So you're getting the benefit of the one-legged stance, but your balance system has now 3 points to triangulate a steady base from, right? And it won't be as hard for it to hold there. Okay? So, first step, boom. Either bring your foot here, bring your knee up here, or do a nice little circle like that. Okay? And that's going to come to the next thing. With our arms at the same time, here, we let them kind of float up. As we bring up this knee, we're going to brush with our hand like this. Bend our elbow to our ear. And then we're going to take our step and extend our trunk. Now this is this motion that we did earlier. So don't let all this other stuff come into confusion. All right, so all together, taking all of that as one thing. Okay, we'll do each version. I'll do a full version, I'll do the kind of half version, and then I'll do the kind of regressed version for people who have a hard time getting up on one. So we'll start with the full version here. As I turn, my arms come up, my foot circles up, I brush, step, shift, and chop. With this foot, if this is foot is forward, I turn it, come up, brush, sink, step, shift, and chop again. All right. Let's do the half version. We're just taking the knee straight up. So from here, again, my arms float up, turn, lift, brush, step, chop. Same thing. Turn here, up, brush, step, and chop. All right, now regressed version for people who are interested in regaining their one-legged balance. Here, turn, step down, brush, step, and chop. Okay. So you see how I did that? Turn, bring it in, brush, put the foot back down, but don't put any weight on it, just touch the ground. Step and chop. And there we go. Okay? So one-legged balance, that cross stabilization pattern, right? The feeling of doing that, right? Getting into this stable stance, being able to push and pull in that particular way. These are the lessons of this particular thing while moving forward. Right? So the opponent is in front of us. The attacks are coming in front of us. If we're talking about martial arts, if we're talking about everyday life, it is the stuff that we act on that's in front of us. Doors, drawers, carts, anything that we act in by coming up to it straight on. That's what this whole thing is good for. Okay, so let's see if we don't have any questions. And that is about where I usually go. So, if anybody has any questions before we can go ahead and do the form. Check Facebook here, see if anybody has asked anything there. I don't see anything. Okay. Alright, so what we will do is I will just run through the first section of the Taiji. We can just have everybody follow along, and we will call it for there. If anybody thinks of anything they want to ask while we're doing that, go ahead and do so in the comments or in the live chat. So, all right, here we go. I will... I think what would be the most beneficial. We have very little space. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do everything up until the first brush knee, so you can see the action that you learned today in the larger set. So start through there. I'll do it once facing the camera and once facing the camera. Okay. So start here. Okay. So there we go. With the that's the section that we're going to do. I'll do it here from the back. If you're following along, do so. Need a little bit more space. Okay. All right. So, okay. We have a comment. Find the crossover movements helpful. Okay. The cross pattern is very, very important for athletic ability. If you're in any type of sport, you look at the way pitchers, their lead foot goes forward, their opposite arm is throwing so that they can get that full there. If you're in tennis, your serve, there's that motion there. Okay, all of that. Yes. It's both sides of the brain's communicating. If both sides of your brain are not communicating, you are in trouble. It's kind of the right brain, left brain thing isn't necessarily a real thing. But what this does do is it trains your motor cortex it patterns your motor cortex, and it helps to allow your brain to communicate with your central nervous system, with your peripheral nervous system. It helps accentuate senses that most people don't think about. Proprioception. The acute balances, the one-legged balances, all the things. This is parts of our sensory system. People think that we have 5 senses. We have like 15, I think, on the last count. Because there's all these internal senses, our stretch reflex, our Golgi response, everything that allows us to move the way we move, right, is of that ilk. And it all comes back to an interplay between yin and yang, right, where you have effort on one side opposing something else. And if you allow one side, if both sides are of the same energy, nothing happens. It's what we call isometric, right? If one lets go, then there is some sort of concentric thing going over that way. Right? If that one then resists and it overpowers the other one, then you have extension. So it's all of these things, and it starts to parse it up, and you start to understand where people were coming from when they say yin and yang starts off, and then it just branches off into the 10,000 things, everything that you see. So, right now, again, another dichotomy that is often drawn is mind and body, because we make a distinction of it in our internal selves. We think about things and then we do other things, or we think about things and then we do them. And these are two separate actions that exist in completely separate realms. Right? The thing about it is they don't really exist in separate realms. The brain is a part of the body. The mind is a function of the brain. Therefore, the mind is a function of the body. Right? We live within our body. It is our sensory tool. It is our acting tool. So information goes both ways. Right? Again, back to yin and yang. Enhancing communication with your movement and everything like that often means taking out conscious awareness. A lot of the things we do, like the mnemonics and things like that, are there to trick you into doing the right thing, because if you did it for rote, far too complicated, most people just shut off, after a certain amount of detail is passed. So a lot of this stuff is based on intuitive things, but then tries to help make the intuitive much basically parses out the intuitive things that are positive and the ones that are negative. Because there are intuitive things that you're going to have to overcome as far as habits and that kind of thing that's going there. Concentration is another thing that is often a very important part. They've done research into this, that if you're paying attention to what you're doing when you're working out, you're getting more benefit out of it. So if you're reading a book while you're on a treadmill or a bike or something like that, you're not getting as much out of the exercise as you would if you were just, concentrating on exercise. Now, some people aren't doing things to get the most out of the exercise. They're doing that just to burn a particular amount of calories within a particular amount of time. But calorie expenditure also goes down after doing something for a while, and you get used to it. So again, with Taiji, we're trying to remain relaxed. We're trying to concentrate on the movements part of it. We talk about postures and we talk about these things in these static terms because that's the language available to us, that people understand. But these are all very dynamic things. Always think about the movement, right? Right. So, is the hand here or here or here or here? Yes. Right. It depends on what you've done, what you're doing, and what you're doing in response to. If you're going to talk about what would you do in reality? It depends again. What are you doing in reality? Are you wrestling with somebody, or are you opening up a cupboard? Both of these movements are used, or the same movements are used in both activities, right? Opening up a cupboard and wrestling with somebody. But the intensity and physical and neurological requirements for the wrestling are far greater than that of just opening the cupboard. For one thing, you're only opening a cupboard usually when you're opening up a cupboard, right? Maybe you're stirring a pot, maybe you're doing something with the other hand, but probably not much, right? You certainly aren't trying to fend off somebody trying to throw you to the ground, anything like that. However, if you train for being thrown to the ground, opening up that cupboard, piece of cake, right? So that's why we set our bar our bar high, why I talk about the fighting aspects of it, even though most people are not going to have any use for these or anything like that. But always also remember that Taiji is a wrestling art. It's wrestling and grappling. It is not a lot of. It's not like Taekwondo. It's not like the stuff you see in the Kung Fu movies. So that's what we're doing. Anyhoot. All right. So if we are good on comments and questions, which I think we are, I think we can wrap up. Yes. Okay. Okay. I guess we'll wrap up here for today. We will be back next week on the same channel here. Please tune in, ask questions, all of that. If you have anything you'd like to see, just post it in the comments here. Put it in the group. Anything like that. Let's see what we can do to do something like that. So, all right. I will leave you there. Have a great day. Stay safe and healthy. Wash those hands. Keep that social distance. Hopefully, we'll see everybody out in the world fairly soon, and we don't have to worry about this anymore. But patience. All right. So we will leave it for there, and I will talk to you. We'll join you for Taiji next week. All right. Have a good one.